7:51, Dan Buck sitting in for McGraw-Millhaven, who's enjoying a little bit of European flavor, I guess you'd say. He's going to be all over Europe over the next 10 days. Aaron O'Neill Hayes sitting in for Kelly Jackson. I'm Dan Buck, and glad to be with you on your Friday morning, and wish we had a better wake-up news. I went to bed a little early last night, did not hear much about this shooting.
I saw it on my Facebook just as I was going to bed.
Just starting to come in, the information last night, a movie theater shooting down in Lafayette, Louisiana. We decided to get on our ABC News correspondent, Scott Goldberg, to talk more about this during the movie Trainwreck, a highly touted actual comedy that everyone was there enjoying, and a man opened fire. And Scott, I know they just got out of a press release. I saw the authorities down there kind of giving more information about the shooter. What do we know at this point?
Yeah, guys, we still don't know why he would have done this, but he's been identified as 59-year-old John Russell Hauser. Previously lived in Alabama. Police say he was a drifter. He'd been living in Lafayette, Louisiana since early July at a motel, and when they checked that motel room, they found wigs and glasses, disguises that suggest he was planning some kind of getaway. What we know is this guy went to a movie by himself, Trainwreck, as you point out. It's a comedy, a romantic comedy, and it was a packed theater, as we hear, 20 minutes into the 7:10 showing. Witnesses say he stood up, started firing, hit the two people in front of him first with a semi-automatic handgun, and in the process killed two, wounded 9 others. At least one was wounded critically, and as police came into the theater, they say he pointed the gun at himself and took his own life. So a total of 3 people dead, including the gunman, and again, 9 wounded, at least 1 in critical condition.
So John Russell Hauser from Alabama, 59-year-old. Is there any indication of a past? Was he a former felon, other criminal offenses in his past?
Well, they said there was some criminal history in his past. We haven't heard many details about that yet, or what specifically would have motivated this. So it's a struggle at this point, it seems, to find clues to get inside this person's mindset. That going through that hotel room might yield more clues as we learn more from law enforcement. But it doesn't appear to be like the Aurora, Colorado shooting almost exactly 3 years ago, where James Holmes walked into the Batman movie dressed up like a superhero, heavily armed, and timed that shooting to coincide with some shooting on screen. This seems to be different, but the crowd, the sitting ducks, the victims, that is the horrible similarity.
Scott, I just read they're calling 2 teachers heroes. One sort of blocked the other teacher, and then that teacher was able to pull the fire alarm, alerting people, to just get out.
Right, and you do always hear stories like that in situations like these. One hero stepped in front of the gun, or one teacher stepped in front of the gun, being called a hero for taking a bullet and blocking that other teacher. They pulled the fire alarm. That certainly helped speed up the response, and those 2 teachers, ultimately, both were shot. One spent the night in the hospital. The other was released.
David, Scott, I am assuming that this theater was a no-gun zone and was probably posted as such?
I'm not sure if there was a sign outside or not. That tends to be the case with movie theaters in places where there are concealed carry laws. And a lot of times you do see those signs, but we're talking about a handgun that's not going to be stopped by a sign if someone has intent. And judging by the clues you can piece together from authorities saying they found this disguise in a hotel room where this guy was living and planning to get away, this is something he thought much about. So if he would have come across a sign, that doesn't seem to be something that would have deterred him.
Scott, we don't always think about the actors of this movie. This is a big movie. It had a big release, and I know Amy Schumer has already come out. She issued a statement. She said, "My heart is broken, and all my thoughts and prayers are with everyone in Louisiana."
Right.
Do you now associate this tragedy with this movie? Sort of, when you hear Dark Knight Rises, you sort of can't help but think Aurora, Colorado.
Well, yeah, that's of course an unfortunate and unfair association. The difference is the shooter in that case, James Holmes, made a point of tying it to the movie.
He associated it with the
right, and like I said, he timed the shooting in real life to coincide with some violence on the screen. I mean, this is a romantic comedy, unless we find out the shooter was making some kind of point, maybe about the morality of the film, and at this point, it's just
Could be,
you
right.
and
You
me
don't know.
talking. Yeah,
Speculation, yeah.
right. So, hopefully, artists who make pictures like these, hopefully they don't get dragged into this, because obviously they have nothing to do with the shooters.
Sure.
But there are these threads in movie theaters now where, I mean, frankly, a lot of people are going to be thinking about this next time they buy a ticket.
Right.
You know, and there's a lot of people still in the hospital who are fighting for their lives in
Yes,
critical
seriously
condition.
injured, yes.
But you and I both know, Scott, it's going to be a matter of hours before the gun control debate is going to begin. People are going to use this as a platform to begin calling for more gun laws. Are you already seeing that? Have you had any either the presidential candidates or other politicians jumping on this?
Well, you know, a little bit, but it's shocking. It's not since Connecticut, the Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting, was there really a big push for changes in gun laws in this country. And the feeling pretty broadly is, if it didn't happen after that, if it didn't happen after Congresswoman Gabby Giffords being shot in Tucson, then this probably isn't going to be the thing that does it. Ironically, perhaps President Obama, who found out about the shooting on Air Force One on his way to Africa, did an interview with our partners at the BBC before he left, and he talked about gun violence being the thing that frustrates him most, and pointing out that thousands of Americans have been killed by gun violence in this country since 9/11, compared to a relatively few number of people who have been killed in terrorist attacks since then. So it is going to be a political discussion. How much of one and how far it goes remains to be seen.
Perhaps the only good news that'll come out of all of this is that we won't have to hear all the time Donald Trump discussions by the media. We'll have something else to discuss for a few days, probably.
I just wish something else could, change our focus.
Till he weighs in on this, yes.
Exactly. Well, Scott Goldberg, you have a great weekend, and any other big news going on nationally that we should be aware of?
This is the headline today, is certainly aside from the politics. So, let's hope stocks rally after a 3-day slump or something to give us a little lift going into the weekend.
Right.
Exactly. Scott Goldberg, ABC News correspondent. Appreciate your time. Have a good weekend, my friend.
Thanks,
you
Scott.
too.
All right. It's 7:58. Dan Buck sitting alongside Aaron O'Neill Hayes and filling in for McGraw on this gorgeous Friday.